This is some desolate land here in New Mexico. See that mountain range out in the distance? And all this land in here. Over to that mountain range. This was the El Camino Real, Road of the King. This led from Mexico City up to Santa Fe, New Mexico. Now this was owned by Spain. From like the 1600s until Mexico's revolution. I'm not sure when that was, the 1800s, something like that. This is current day part of the United States. But after the Mexican Revolution, when Mexico kicked out Spain, all of this was Mexico. All the way up to, I think, like the Oregon border. The whole Southwest was Mexico. And then we had the Mexican-American War. I think that was during the time of President Polk. Polk wanted all this land out here, so we got a war started with Mexico, conquered them, and got all this land. So now this is part of the United States. But this was the Camino Real, the Royal Road. This section of the Camino Real is called the Jornada del Muerto, or Dead Man's Journey, after the tragic fate of German trader Bernardo Gruber, El Alemán. In 1670, the Inquisition accused him of witchcraft. Remember, this was still Spain, or New Spain, so the Inquisition had jurisdiction even here in the New World. He escaped and attempted to cross 90 miles of forbidding desert south of Socorro, between the Paraje de Fray Cristobal to the north and the Paraje de Robledo to the south. After days of unquenched thirst, Gruber's Apache servant Antonio went in search of water. When he returned, El Alemán was gone. Weeks later, travelers found his clothing and his scattered remains. Spanish and Mexican merchants, the U.S. Army, the Texas Confederates in 1862, and the railroad in the 1880s also used this route. Okay, we came up out of the flatlands, which was the Camino Real. They're going from a road from Mexico City to Santa Fe. They wouldn't come up into the foothills of the mountains. They would stay down, well, unless they were looking for water. But the flatlands was probably the Camino Real. When I spoke of this land being part of Spain, and then Mexico, and then the United States, when Spain came over from Europe, they were called the conquistadors, and they conquered this land. Conquest from the indigenous people. So this land was, I don't think indigenous people think of owning land. They think of probably their territory and they defend it from other indigenous peoples. But just to make that clear, before the Spanish, there were indigenous people here. I don't know how far up the Mayans came from the Central America and Mexico area. The Spanish started intermarrying with the indigenous people, and so the Mexicans, I may not have this correct, but it's an educated assumption, because people in Spain, they came over, intermarried with indigenous peoples, and so I think that's where Mexicans originated. They were Spanish until their revolution, and it became Mexico. Just like in the United States, we were all British until our revolution, and then we became America, United States of America. So what I want to do is we're going to take some driving shots here, because we're up off the flatlands, and this is getting to be kind of curvy, kind of interesting terrain. But I wanted to mention that about before Spain was here, there were people here. Like the Comanche, the Apache, all the tribes of the Southwest. I love this kind of terrain. drop off there, and there's no guardrail. Elephant Butte Historic District. There was a lake back there. I'm not sure if we're still headed towards it and just wiggling around, or if there's a way to get to it and I just missed it, but I don't. There was a very steep road going down, and I saw a camper down there, but there also had signs saying a field office. So I don't know. We'll just drive along and enjoy the scenery. Okay, that might be the entrance to it, but I'm not going to go on in. There's the Rio Grande River again, up in New Mexico. Going over it, you can't see it.